Hello and welcome back to The Voice Within. If you hear in the background by any chance AC noise or some humming, it's getting very hot in the Middle East, so it's becoming almost impossible to be in the room without the AC. I will try to edit it as much as possible during the editing process, but for now, just bear with me. I'm doing my best. So today I want to talk about something which happened on my Instagram profile a few days ago. And not that it's something which really touched me a lot, but it was just interesting to see the pattern that was happening underneath that situation which happened on my Instagram. And I'm going to talk about it more. And I believe there is a lot of value for us to take from that particular situation. So a few days ago, I saw one comedy reel on some Instagram profile. It looks like funny on the surface, but actually what is underneath, a mother like mocking or joking, apologizing to her child after she lost her temper. She's like trying to make it in a funny way of saying, oh, I'm sorry for doing this and this, but then she starts cursing and then she tries again to apologize, then she starts cursing again and so on and so forth. And I usually don't comment on this kind of reels because usually the people who are gathering around this kind of profiles are the people who are normalizing this kind of things. But I don't know why. That day, for some reason, it was a bit quick response and I wrote the comment, what about parenting in dignity? And that comment was not coming from some place of judgment. It was just honest comment. Why do we normalize our kids leading the dynamic and then after that we feel guilty for finally snapping, for finally allowing ourselves to show what is underneath? And immediately in that comment section, the moms, the ladies, they started mocking my comment. They start telling me that I cannot take a joke. One of them, they even asked me, do I really have a friend in my life? Do I have anybody in my life based on the type of the comment I gave? And the comment was actually really honest and truthful comment. Why we don't parent from dignity? Why we allow our children to pull us into the collapse so much that we cannot control ourselves? Why we don't set the boundaries so it doesn't even come to that place where we cannot control ourselves. Then after that we apologize ourselves. Then after that we feel guilty. Then after that we feel bad. It's like endless cycle of guilt. Why we are doing that in the first place? And to be honest, I was doing it as well for a very long time. Good portion of my motherhood. But at one point I just didn't want to feel guilty anymore. Why am I feeling guilty for parenting my own child? This is when I started changing. This is when I understood that in order for me to parent my child differently, I have to reparent myself. In order for me to be able to set the boundaries to my child before I lose control, I have to move from the dignity in parenting. And to be honest, I was thinking about what happened in that comment section on that reel, not because it touched me somehow, because they were mocking me. I was just thinking about how does the truth gets handled in the rooms that are built on complete avoidance. And it was so funny for me to witness how moms who are saying that they want to be better moms, that they want to raise emotionally intelligent children, were actually mocking another mom for just giving one simple comment, actually giving different perspective on parenting. So today podcast episode, the intention is not that we talk about the reel which happened, about the comment section, about the people bullying me online, but I want to talk about what do we normalize and how do we actually respond in our life when someone names what we silently accept, when somebody else tells us something which we've been doing all of our life and became kind of like second nature, and deep inside we know that it's not correct. How do we actually accept it? Are we mature enough to take honest feedback, and do we actually take it to grow? Or we become very defensive. And when I would pull comparison of those moms bullying me in that comment section, I saw that it's not even about the growth. It's about wanting someone to come and say, your point is justified. You are still good mom. It's okay to shout at your child. You are fine. Everybody is doing it. And as long as everybody around us keeps repeating that, we are fine and we feel okay with what we are doing. But as soon as somebody like me comes and says, say, hey, maybe there is another way. I'm not saying you are bad, mom, but let's try to do something differently so we don't even reach this point, then I'm the bad one. And we often say that we want to grow, we want to heal, we want to change, we want to have emotional leadership. But what we actually want is comfort. What we actually want is resonance. Somebody to give us mutual permission to stay the same and to don't change nothing. And there was thousands of people on that profile. And when I was checking that profile, that reel where I was commenting, I realized that the whole profile is built around same narrative. Let's normalize something which shouldn't be normalized. Let's laugh about it. Let's accept it. And let's just don't change nothing and keep saying how it's hard, but actually we don't even want to try to change anything. We're just accepting the status quo. And this kind of situation happen a lot. They happen in motherhood. They happen in friendship, where we continuously trade our truth for belonging. So as long as we are agreeing, as long as we have common topic or subject, then we belong. As soon as one of us change opinion or doing something differently, then we are not the same, then we don't feel like you belong anymore. You are not part of us. And I saw this pattern a lot on forums, in moms groups online. As soon as one woman, one mom comes up and she gives different perspective or different opinion about something, and if that opinion is different than narrative which is in that forum or that group, she gets immediately bullied. Not because she is wrong, but because she's challenging the narrative of whole that collective. We all want to feel like we belong. We all want to find a place where we feel like a part of, like included. That's why the moms, they often search for the groups, for the places where they can interact with each other. But we usually search to bond through the shared struggles, not shared growth. When you think about it, if you have a friend who is quite positive and always comes up with a nice positive solution, and you come to that friend with some struggles and you share it, and that person tells you, yeah, but there is another way, you could try this, you could try that, we usually feel that that person doesn't understand us. Even if that person in the moment is giving us something valuable, something that we can apply in our life. But when you think about the situation where you have some positive friend or somebody who is really in the growth mindset, if you come to them with the struggle and they don't normalize that struggle, you will feel like you don't belong with them. And maybe you will even go to another friend and start talking about, oh my God, I came to her with this and this problem and she's not listening me, she's giving me some positivity and I just need somebody to listen. Well, basically what we need somebody to normalize our shared struggles. And on another side, when the people start doing inner work, when they start changing, when they start doing things differently than everybody, when someone rises out of the struggle and it's not victim anymore, it threatens the emotional contracts. Stay the same, stay in the place, or lose your people. And whoever did healing, whoever did any personal development, they know that the big part of doing it is actually facing that discomfort of other people not accepting you, because now you are not part of the tribe, you are different. We are not sharing the struggles, we are not normalizing narratives which keeps us stuck. If you change, you don't belong anymore with us. So basically, we don't feel like we belong because we are the best. We belong because we are the same. This is when we feel like we belong. And as soon as someone shows they move differently, they're living differently, we call it judgment. And we make them feel like they don't belong anymore. What we actually misunderstood over here is that difference between being understood and being validated. Because somebody can understand us completely, but they don't have to validate us. But for most of the people, if you don't validate my struggles, if you don't agree that my struggles are justified and that I don't have option in my life, then we belong. Then I feel like we are the same. But if you understood me and you give me option B, then we don't belong, then we are not the part of the same tribe. And we often choose friends based on this shared struggles. We call it supportive friends, we call it the one who are always there for us, but it's just actually mutual enablement. And then we wonder why nothing in our life is changing, because we continuously finding the people who keep us stuck in the same place. We sit with them, we talk with them, we share our struggles, they share their struggles, we feel relief for the moment that we just dumped our things to them, but actually there is no long-lasting change. Nobody is pushing forward to make some change. And in that reel, in that, how I call it, mockery section comment, one of the ladies, she asked me, do I really have friends? And when she asked me this, I was just thinking like, do I have friends? Yes, I have few friends, but those friends are friends who don't normalize my struggles, who will actually call me out when I'm trying to victimize myself. And it was even funny for me when she asked me that, because as long as you say what everybody is saying, then you have friends. But if you say something which is different than most of the people, then most probably you actually don't have friends. And we often forget that we don't need the friends who validate us in life. We need friends who grow with us. We need the friends who push us forward. And it's a bit sad that in womanhood, this situation actually are very rare. And during my personal development journey for the past 6 years, I have cut contact with a lot of people. And it was not out of some anger or some frustration, but it was just that these people didn't reflect anymore my values, my beliefs, and I was not ready anymore to normalize things in their life or in my own life just to be accepted. I didn't want to accept anymore that I need to be like everybody else in order to have friends. Honestly, right now, I would rather be alone without anybody than have a friends who are just sharing my struggles without actually trying to push me out forward and even to call me out if it's necessary. And when I was younger, in my 20s, of course, I loved those kind of friends where we share common thing, common struggles, where I say something and she comes to me and she says, yes, you are right. Good that you said like this. And she supports me in every decision I make, regardless is that decision good or bad for me. But we are grown women now. And those kind of friends, if we are honest, are the friends who keep us down. If you remember your 20s, if you remember the time when you would listen to those kind of friends, most of the time you would get in trouble with those kind of friends, and those were the friends that you maybe even parents didn't want you to hang out with. And when that lady asked me in the comment section, do you have friends, I was thinking about it and I thought, it's not about having friends, it's about what kind of friends you have. Do your friends let you rise, they push you forward, or they pull you down? So if you pay attention on your life, if you pay attention on your circle, try to kind of assess and see which friends you are preferring. Do you prefer the friends who normalize your struggles, who keep you stuck, who just justify your situation without ever offering you real solution or at least truth that what you're doing is not good for you? Or you actually have the friends who are pushing you forward even when you feel uncomfortable to hear their perspective. And if you have somebody in your life who is very honest with you, who tells you the things, how we like to say, in the face, and when they say it, it gets on your nerve, just stop for a moment and ask yourself, am I uncomfortable because of what they are saying, or I am uncomfortable because I'm still not ready to hear what they're telling me? Because usually when somebody says something and it triggers something in us, there is something in that. Maybe that person is not completely correct with what they said, but there is a reason why we got triggered. And if one thing I learned through my personal development journey is that the growth is actually there where you feel uncomfortable. This is like the most important place where you need to look and see, why does this hurts me? Why does this makes me feel the way it makes? And for end of this podcast episode, if this episode boiled something in you and made you start thinking about your friendships, about your circle, about the people around you, I would give you advice to ask yourself, do I have people in my life who reflect my growth, or the people who are just reinforcing my wounds? And even more important than that is, what kind of friend am I? Am I the friend who accepts and gives the truth, or am I the friend who is just validating other people's wounds? And if I am the type of friend who is just validating other people's wounds, although often I see that the people are making mistakes, it's very valuable that you ask yourself why. And usually the answer is, I'm afraid I will not belong if I don't share the narrative of my friend. If I say something different, then I will feel rejected. So I would rather be quiet and don't say nothing so I don't feel uncomfortable. But then ask yourself, is that really friendship to begin with? That will be it for this podcast episode. I see you next week, next Sunday. Until then, you have a lovely, blessed, beautiful, joyful rest of the day. Bye.